Parents with adopted kids, why did you choose adoption? I never wanted to be a dad, until life forced me to become one. It all happened on a random Tuesday when I got the call about David. We'd been co-workers for years, but more importantly, friends. Not best friends or anything, but we grabbed beers sometimes and talked sports. Still, I didn't expect to be the one named guardian of his 12-year-old daughter, Sophie. David had never mentioned it, and honestly, I wasn't sure I was even qualified. The first day Sophie moved into my apartment was awkward. She didn't say a word, just stood there gripping her backpack, eyes glued to the floor. The first 3 weeks were pretty much the same. No talking, no eye contact, just a thick silence between us. I wasn't exactly Mr. Social Skills either, just a software engineer used to my own space, predictable routines, and zero responsibility for anyone else's emotions. I tried everything I could think of, from ordering pizza every night, because who doesn't love pizza, to awkwardly buying stacks of art supplies, hoping she'd like at least one thing. Nothing seemed to help. Until one night, around 2 a.m., I heard quiet sobbing coming from her room. When I peeked in, Sophie sat on her bed holding a photo album. Her shoulders shook with silent grief. I didn't know what to do, so I just sat beside her quietly, staying until morning came. That night didn't solve anything completely, but it was a start. School started rough for Sophie. On her first day, she had a massive panic attack right there in front of everyone. The school called me at work, and before I even knew what I was doing, I'd taken emergency leave. For 2 weeks straight, I spent hours just sitting in the school parking lot, watching the front doors, so she'd know someone was always there. My boss warned me it might cost me my promotion, but for the first time, I didn't care. When Sophie's birthday rolled around, I thought I had it planned perfectly. Cake, gifts, a quiet dinner at home. But when everything fell apart, Sophie finally spoke up, softly telling me her dad used to take her stargazing. Stargazing meant driving 3 hours away from city lights to a dark sky reserve, which meant my anxiety about wide open spaces and night driving went off the charts. But something in her eyes told me I had to do it anyway. Under the massive glittering sky, Sophie started talking. Real talking. She shared stories about David. Funny, silly, heartbreaking, and suddenly my chest ached in ways I didn't think possible. My grief became our grief. It felt like the start of something real between us. But our bond really got tested at her school's talent show. She stood frozen on stage, staring at the empty chair her dad would have sat in. Without even thinking, I jumped out of my seat, rushed onto the stage, whispered softly into her ear, "I'm right here, kiddo," and took David's place in the audience. Later, she told me that was exactly what her dad always said. Then life threw another curveball. I got my dream job offer across the country the same week we got evicted from David's old apartment. I turned it down immediately, buying a modest house nearby instead, just to keep Sophie close to her friends and school. Stability was something she desperately needed, and I finally realized I needed it too. But just as things calmed down, David's estranged parents stormed into the picture, demanding custody. Sophie overheard them call her a burden, and overnight she retreated completely into herself, convinced she'd lose yet another family. I poured everything I had into lawyers and late nights working. Eventually, I stood in court, publicly admitting something I'd quietly realized months before. I loved Sophie like my own daughter. On our 1-year anniversary, my younger brother had a terrible accident, triggering memories of my parents' fatal crash. That night, everything hit me at once, and I broke down alone in my room. But soon, there was a gentle knock, and Sophie appeared holding 2 mugs of hot chocolate, the same thing I'd always given her after nightmares. She sat quietly next to me, finally whispering how grateful she was that I chose her, even when it was hard. Then she handed me a handmade card. "I love you too, you know." When the adoption finally became official, Sophie decided to hyphenate her last name to Mills Reed, honoring both her dad and me. In the courthouse, surrounded by friends, she hugged me for the first time, whispering softly that sometimes, family is who finds you when you're lost, echoing the words I'd once said to her. Turns out, she'd been listening all along.